worse. We started this last week, and by popular request, Dr. Ajibade is here again to talk more on the topic cancer, why Blacks suffer worse. Dr. Toyin Opesame is a medical doctor and Academy American of HIV Medicine. She's here to engage in an intriguing conversation with our guest tonight. Dr. O, it's your show.
Good evening and welcome to Medical Mondays with Dr. O. It's been an interesting evening, but we're going to have an excellent time of education by the grace of God. People have had difficulty getting onto Zoom. Some people are getting the notification that the meeting is closed when it is not. And by God's grace, we will figure that out. And the people ordained to be here tonight are going to be here. So Dr. Ajibade, our speaker, thank God, has been able to make it in after some troubles. And he's going to continue where we left off last week on cancer and why it is worst, not worse, in Black people. It's also, our hope will touch on sickle cell anemia because that's his expertise. He has a heart for the brain, and that led him into sickle cell research and treatment with some results that will be interesting to anyone who has been impacted by sickle cell. Even though sickle cell is not our topic tonight, I hope we will touch on it. So welcome, Dr. Ajibade, to Medical Mondays with Dr. O.
Thank you very much, Dr. O. Good evening, everyone. And I appreciate your inviting me back to continue on this talk. Should I proceed?
Yes, the floor is yours.
Okay, all right. So good evening, everyone. I'm doing this for myself, but this is the first time I'm actually doing anything for my cell phone. So just bear with me. It's going to be a little rough, but hopefully we'll make it through. So everybody see my screen, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So as Dr. O said, we're going to be continue our talk on cancers among Blacks. And just to say a few things about sickle cell disease, as she said, my goodness. So what you're supposed to see here is the tragedy of sickle cell disease in Nigeria, our collective responsibility. And I really feel it's our collective responsibility. We are grand central station for sickle cell disease around the world. I mean, nobody comes close. So we have over 150,000 births each year to 20,000 births each year. In the US, there are only about 100,000 complete sickle cell disease. In Nigeria, we have over 4 million. So, and like Dr. O said, we got into it because of my interest in the brain. We now found out that over 10% of all individuals with sickle cell disease will have at least one stroke. And the majority of them have it between the ages of 2 and 16 years of age, and just when they're starting their life. So you can imagine if that kid or that child lives to be 40 years of age, is living, for the most part, crippled for that entire period. A miserable life is going to be held back throughout. But of course, like most of them will die by their 5th birthday. 50% to 75% are the statistics. So I think it's everybody's responsibility. I don't have any personal relatives or anyone that have lost to sickle cell disease. So it's not like it's an emotional thing. To me, it's just a fundamental responsibility as a Black person, as a Nigerian, that we have to get this handled. And I'm glad that we're talking about it more and more. And Dr. O, thank you for the opportunity to talk about this. We have what is known as Project Nigeria coming up. So the two people on the left are actually twins. They both play for the NFL. They're very successful. They are very interested in sickle cell disease. They are interested in, and they've voiced their interest in coming to Nigeria, but they want to join us in raising funds, and they've backed up to $25,000. They're going to match So if we can raise $25,000, they will match it. And so that will help in our purchasing of supplements for kids in remote areas with sickle cell disease. It will also help us in our research, which we're trying to raise $200,000 for. We want to do a 6-month research that will prove definitively that strengthening the immune system in children with sickle cell disease can go a long way towards improving their quality of life and therefore saving their lives before they die at the age of 5, which is the common statistic. We have been demonstrating that in the last 5-6 years in our foundation in Nigeria, not just in Abuja, but throughout Nigeria. We send these supplements out everywhere, and it's not cheap, but somehow God is helping us to do it. So I really want to encourage you, if you have it in your heart to join in this project, you can text 44321. That's the text to send just type SCD in the body of the message, and then you can donate via text 44321. And then any amount. We would love to have for you to be a monthly donor. So if that's laid on your heart to do, we would really appreciate it. Other ways you can go to our website, and there are other ways to donate via Zelle or PayPal or whatever. The means are out there. But I thought the easiest would be just texting 44321 and type SCD to 44321. So thank you. God bless you as you donate. This is on our website as well. I think Dr. Otu was the one who suggested that it's good for us to show images. You may not see the words there, but it's basically saying we like to put our smiles on these people's faces. You can see the parents; many of them are smiling because for the first time in their child's life, the child is living pain-free. These people come to our clinic. We don't charge them a single thing, and we provide for them free of charge, and they are finally maybe beginning to breathe a sigh of relief for the first time. This bottom left, you see a family of 4. The mother was, throughout her 16 years of marriage, she said that she had never been even able to complete a Ramadan fast. Never been able to complete a Ramadan fast because at least one or more of her children would be in the hospital on admission. And in fact, they were calling her matron in National Hospital, matron, because she knew so much about the disease and was even instructing the nurses what to do for the children. But we took her to the Ministry of Health, and she attested at the Ministry of Health that this was the first time she was able to complete a Ramadan fast. That these kids, they may even have malaria. Normally, when they have malaria, they would have crises and they would fall sick. She said they still had malaria, but they wouldn't fall sick. They would not have a crisis at all. I'm sorry, they would not have crisis even though they had malaria. So we're doing something special by the grace of God, and I really encourage you to look into this and help your people back home or your children back home, because they are our children. All right, so at this point, I think we can start with the main presentation. So it's about Blacks and cancers. This is the image of the brain. Just forgive me, in the actual slides, it's very faint, but this image of the brain is like blocking everything out. So I will try and read out the slides to you. So the Blacks and cancers, the harsh realities, that's what it says here. We've talked about this before, so I'm just going to quickly go over this. It is more prevalent. It happens at an earlier age. It's more aggressive. It tends to spread more quickly. The patients are more likely to die. And we mentioned a few reasons for that. I'll get to that. African Americans have the highest death rate and shortest survival of any racial and ethnic group in the US for most cancers, but most especially breast cancer and prostate cancer. We are the kings and queens when it comes to breast cancer and prostate cancer. Some of the reasons. Genes, obviously. And I mentioned that one of the genetic factors is the fact that we have melanin, and so we're not able to produce vitamin D as much as the white people do. And therefore, vitamin D is so crucial for inflammation, to regulate inflammation. It's so crucial to regulate immunity, so crucial to regulate so many things. Obviously the bone, brain function, cardiovascular function, it goes on and on and on and on. So that's one of the factors. Other factors too include the mutations in what is known as the BRCA1 or BRCA2 gene, which are cancer suppressing genes. And when there's a mutation, they don't suppress cancer as well as they should. So if you've inherited the mutation, there's a tendency. It's not an absolute fact you're going to get the cancer. It just means that there might be a greater chance. And a lot of that will depend on your lifestyle and the environment. Speaking about the environment, poverty, low socioeconomic places, Blacks tend to win in that regard as well. They tend to live in very low socioeconomic areas. I just moved to Baltimore, and you can tell from one street to the next where the Blacks are living and where the whites are living. It's almost stark. You drive one half a mile, white people, next half a mile, Black people, you can tell the difference. It's unfortunate, but that's the reality. With poverty, you don't have access to insurance. You don't have access to regular medical tests, so they can't catch the cancer early. They can't monitor the cancer like it should. But I don't think I should go on about that. We want to focus on what you can do that is within your power, not what is outside of your power, but what is within your power. So obviously, keeping your weights down, maintaining a healthy weight is very important. I mentioned some things about breast cancer because this is breast cancer month. Poorer diet is a contributing factor. I've talked about weight loss. I've talked about vitamin D. I've talked about even our cultural mindsets. We tend not to want to even look at cancer. We're like, oh no, it's not part of what our problem should be. Anyway, I want to talk today about prevention and treatment more than anything else. I think we touched on that before, but I think we should just delve in it some more. So last week, I spoke about the factors causing damage and mutation, the 10 I's. And yes, I stretched some things so I can complete 10, but basically, I think you can see with me that these are all factors. Immune function, obviously. If your immune system isn't working like it should, it's going to miss cancer cells as they are developing, so it will not nip it in the bud. So immune dysfunction or deficiency is a cardinal problem. Infections, especially, I mean, the obvious ones are HPV for cervical cancer, stomach cancer, H. pylori, the one that causes ulcers, and that can eventually cause cancer. Of course, some kinds of hepatitis too can even result in cancer. Infestations by worms, irritation, constant irritation. Maybe you are, let me give you an example now. They are lactose intolerant, and 75% of Black people are lactose intolerant. Maybe you are lactose intolerant. Every time you drink milk or milk-producing or milk-containing products, dairy-containing products, you are irritated in your stomach, you are bloated, but no, you like this milk so much, you like this dairy-containing product so much, you keep at it, you keep on taking it, not realizing that this is causing irritation to the lining of your guts. And as we've said before, constant irritation, constant hammering with wrong things to your body, any part of your body, can eventually make the cells say, no, I no go do again. I revolt. And when they revolt, they mutate, and eventually they mutate and cause cancer. Toxins, intoxicants, that's another thing. That includes everything from excess alcohol to smoking. You don't have to be a smoker to have lung cancer, as you know. Just inhaling the smoke and not taking care of your body can cause that. Hormonal imbalances, that's another big issue. Injury, irradiation, that's a good example, of course, is skin cancer, radiation from the sun. But even over excessive exposure to technology like cell phones and even x-rays, even CT scans, you're constantly being exposed to that. That in itself is an issue. And I know I'm saying that, I'm like, okay, well, we do recommend mammograms every year. But anyway, these are all things you just want to keep in mind. Immobility, inflammation is the big thing. Like I said before, the final common pathway for many of these conditions is inflammation. And inflammation is what propagates the spread of cancer. So if there's a cancer in one part of the body, and the body, like say the breast cancer, for instance, it starts, it's easier for that cancer to spread if the regions around it are inflamed. And I guess inflammation is another topic on its own that we have to go into, but I don't think we can go into it now. The four horsemen, as I mentioned before, these are the four cardinal areas that we like, the four fundamental mechanisms in your body that if you get a good hold on them, if you can control them, you will go a long way towards reducing your chances of getting cancer. And even if you do get cancer, because there are no guarantees, you would still be able to, if you're able to control them, you're still starting off at a better chance in life. You have a better chance of defeating cancer if you deal with these areas. So immune function, free radical damage, these are the big four. We want to emphasize immunity and inflammation where cancer is concerned, more than anything else. I think we'll get into that. If you can reduce inflammation, if you can strengthen your immunity, you have the best chance, the very, very best chance of defeating cancer. It's not easy, but if you can use the right tools, and that's why I talked to Dr. O about maybe, and I'll talk about this later on too, that probably we need to start creating an ongoing resource that people can access that will provide this more information about these different strategies. Because one webinar is not going to do it. So this, I showed this picture last time. This is the picture of Dr. Banner before he becomes Incredible Hulk, and it's when if you remember the series, you're annoying the person, you're annoying him. Once he gets mad, you've reached the point of no return. First of all, his eyes turn green, and then the rest of the body turns massive and green, and all bets are off. You better run because they're going to kill and tear everything in his path. Just want to say a quick word about immunity and COVID-19 before we talk about treatment. We've mentioned vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, and fiber. We talked about that last week. If you gotta keep on, no matter day in, day out, this has to be a priority. I hope everybody that is on this call, on this webinar, has started taking vitamin D. All right, I hope everybody has started. Please do it. Excuse me?
This is Mason with Insperity. I was looking for a Demilola in HR.
This is who?
Kavan Mason with Insperity. I was looking for Ideal Program Services. Is this a number?
No.
Okay, thanks, man.
Okay, so you've got to start with vitamin. Start with your kids. There's a good chance they're already becoming vitamin D deficient. So please take this seriously. And I want to have a quick story about a friend of mine. We've lost her now, but she had breast cancer. She didn't tell anybody about it, unfortunately, until it became too bad. And then when it came, we started helping her out, and I was giving her large doses. I told her to take large doses, twice the recommended dose of vitamin D, vitamin C, and zinc. Well, she has two daughters, both married. One has 10 kids, the other one has 6 kids. One of the daughters had their 99-year-old father with them, living with them. Everybody at once had COVID-19, everybody, except her and her daughter. Now, why hers is even serious, why it's so striking is that she was close to 80 at that time. I think she was 79. She also was undergoing cancer treatment. So it was a sure banker that her immune system was deficient. But she came on TV. She came on the TV, and we showed it in Nigeria because I videoed her and I put her on TV in Nigeria. She said that she did not feel a single thing because she was on vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc that were helping to strengthen her immune system. Everybody else, except her daughter, and I don't know what the reason for her daughter is, but her daughter is definitely younger than her, and her daughter does not have COVID-19. So it's just again to reinforce the importance of strengthening your immune system. Okay, so what happens if everything you've done hasn't worked, and then and then you're still diagnosed with cancer. Of course, there are no guarantees. So you can't, the vitamin C, D, and zinc is not going to help treat cancer because my friend still died of cancer. Even though the vitamin C, D, and zinc were helping, but she still died of cancer. You need to get the big guns. So I have a picture of here. So that's the Incredible Hulk to your right, and that's the only thing that could fight against the Incredible Hulk was, of course, Iron Man. So Iron Man in the Avengers, they came and he fought with Incredible Hulk. And if you watch the movie or you remember the movie, you can see that he gave the Incredible Hulk a good beating, and eventually he knocked him out. Although it was a very, very tough fight. So when it comes to cancer treatment, okay, I'm going to get to that in a minute. There's an inner game and an outer game. It's not just what you do on the outside. And of course, you got to get your medical treatment. Go to your oncologist. Get a game plan. If you don't like what your oncologist has to say or do, or you don't think this is the right diagnosis, forget a second opinion, get a third opinion. Don't waste time with it. But by all means, get started on your treatment for cancer. I started my career, as I said before, treating cancer patients, and I know that the sooner you get started, the better. The challenge is that many times oncologists just focus on that one piece of the puzzle. Meanwhile, there are several pieces to the puzzle. One of the pieces obviously includes how you think, your beliefs, your what we call the inner game, your forgiveness levels. If you're holding a grudge against somebody or you haven't forgiven somebody, those are all issues that will hold you back from getting full recovery from your cancer, because those things shut your immune system down. And I think it was Bernie Siegel, who is known for his treatment of cancer patients. He said, there's no way you can survive cancer if you wake up every morning hating the job you're going to do. That's going to shut you down. So you need to understand that. We're going to spend more of our time on the outer game, but I just want to say a few more things. This is the Cancer Treatment Centers of America. It's a wonderful center. They have about 5 different centers in the country. Very expensive, but they treat in every way. They treat it spiritually, they treat mentally. They have psychologists, they have psychiatrists, they have chiropractors, they have naturopathics, they have the radiation oncologists, they have the chemo oncologists, they have everybody to treat your cancer. So you have a 360 viewpoint. And I like what they said. Whoever said winning isn't everything never had to fight cancer, because where cancer is concerned, winning is everything. And I think sometimes, again, we as Blacks, we don't take it as seriously as we should. Here's somebody who did, Robin Roberts. And again, in her case, obviously, she was rich. She had a lot of support, and they helped to treat her breast cancer. And so she's back. She survived. But she said it herself. The fact that she was an athlete, the fact that she knew how to win, played a huge role in her recovery from cancer. She did not take it lying down. She was not passive about it. And when I was treating cancer patients, I saw a lot of people who are just passive. They just didn't care. They just come for their treatment. Sometimes they'll miss their treatments and they won't take it seriously. You've got to take it seriously. You've got to settle it once and for all that you're in the fight of your life for the rest of your life. You've got to settle it. You're in the fight of your life for the rest of your life. And why I say the rest of your life is that some people, when they get they have achieved remission, the doctor says that you're cancer free. Then they go back and they slack off. They don't do the things that they were doing before because God has saved me. You've got, especially if you're Black, the tendency for that cancer to come back, maybe not in the same place, but some other place, is much greater if you're a Black person. And I mentioned this before, that my boss, when we were treating cancer patients, he said that he tells breast cancer patients, once they get remission, they should not get pregnant, because that getting pregnant tends to trigger the cancer again. And when you come to think about it, what other choice do you have? You want to be passive, just lie still? And I like what this man said, this Lance Armstrong. He's a disgraced biker, but he survived testicular cancer and still went on to win one of the most grueling races in the world, the Tour de France. He won it several times, even after his diagnosis of testicular cancer. One of the things he said is that what choice do you have? It's either you play dead and just let death come to you, or you fight like hell. Forgive me for using that word, but those were his words. You fight like hell. And that's the attitude you're going to have to build. And so some of the things we're looking at is like, okay, so I've been doing research to see which videos or resources that show people who have survived cancer, because those things will help to reprogram your belief. Many people, especially if you have a family history of breast cancer, you see they've died from breast cancer, and then you've seen them. Maybe it was your parents. You saw them struggling. You saw the pain they went through. Those things are etched in your subconscious mind. And it's going to come up to haunt you if you don't actively take it out of the way and replace it with the right images. You're going to keep on seeing that this is going to be this big bad wolf. This big bad wolf is going to huff and who's going to puff and is going to blow your house down no matter what. Meanwhile, nothing could be further from the truth. There are several people who have recovered and overcome breast cancer, but it wasn't done by just lying still. They deliberately took action in different ways, whether it was their diet, exercise, they changed their relationship, they changed their job, they made sure they were at peace with their family and their God and everything else. So that's why you've got to adopt the kitchen sink principle. I hope you understand what that means. You throw everything at it, including the kitchen sink. You throw everything at it. Don't take this lightly. I'm speaking to Black people like me. I've seen it over and over again. They just tend to slack off for some reason. I don't understand it. All right, so here are the laws of life that I talk about a lot. And these are, so it kind of gives you a framework to work with. Sorry about all these things popping up. It gives you a framework to work with, how your words affect the words that you speak, but also the words that you hear and the words that you read. They all affect your subconscious mind. They affect that inner game. The inner game has to be reprogrammed to one of winning. Of course, number 4 is what we're going to focus on, but the care you give your body, amount of sleep, exercise, and so on and so forth. Your relationships matter. If you have a great support system, that matters. Research has proven that as well. There's been research that they've shown how people with breast cancer, those in support groups did better than those who did not have good support groups, even with the right same treatment and everything else being equal. I've talked about work a little bit. So I'm going to talk about food, because I think the easiest thing to control, the easiest thing you have power over is what you put in your body. So I'm going to say a few things about that. And I love this quote: the human body heals itself. The human body heals itself. Think about that. It's an ongoing thing. It's not just when you have a cut or you broke your bone. Your body, every second, every minute, every hour, is constantly healing itself. The way it can heal itself is if it has the right tools, the resources, and those resources are food. Proper nutrition provides it with the resources that it requires to accomplish that task, the right kind of nutrition. So you can forget it if you think that just eating a balanced diet is going to provide you with the right kind of nutrition and the right resources to heal cancer. It's not going to happen. Yes, it's good you can switch to a vegetarian diet, limit your intake of sugar, limit your intake of meat, limit your intake of all these other things that you know you shouldn't be taking. But just limiting things is not going to do the job. You've got to bring in, like I said, the big guns. You've got to bring in the big guns. You need firepower, excessive firepower to overcome the Incredible Hulk. And so the 4 things that we found out that have been very, very helpful. You need specialized immune support supplements. They're not available anywhere in the pharmacy or whatever it is. You need high dose specialized immune support supplements. That's what we use, a specific brand with our kids with sickle cell disease. And that has worked so well. We have other brands as well. If you want to have more information, you can reach out to us. You need inflammation support. I've explained inflammation. You need digestive support, things that will help with the digestive system. Remember, 80% of your immune system, 80% of your immune system lives in your digestive system. Think about that, 80%. if you really, really thought about it, then you would pay more attention to the food that you're putting in your body, to what you're putting in your body, because you can be sure that things like fried foods, sugar, and when I talk about sugar, I'm also talking about things like pounded yam and eba. Those things, they present a huge sugar load to the body that the body finds difficult to address, especially at night. Please don't be eating all that heavy food at night, please, especially if you're above the age of 40, only before the age of 32. Again, 30 years of age, that's when the honeymoon period is over. That's when, by that time, if you haven't enjoyed your life, then don't start thinking, oh, it's now that I'm 40 and I've made money, that I can now start taking all the alcohol and all the eba and pounded yam and eating all the terrible junk food that you want, because your body it doesn't have the same kind of resilience to take the insults that you were taking when you were 17, 18 or 19. All that junk food, you've got to pull it together. Shake yourself up and say, this is okay. I've had my chance and I've passed that time now. I can't start messing around. So we have a page on our site called the Brain and Body Foundation, not the www.brainandbodyfoundation.org, not .com, and it says cancer. You can go there and you can sign up. We'll show you how to get more information, more specific information, especially if you're concerned about cancer. We can show you and give you better directions. Like I said, one webinar is not enough to do it. So just go to the website and then /cancer, and you can begin to send you information for that. So at this point, I think I've gone over a little bit. My apologies. Thank you for listening. And Dr.
Wow, Dr. Ajibade, thank you. That was awesome. Excellent.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I noticed you didn't mention chemo though.
Chemo?
In breast cancer, what's your take? Because sometimes people need chemo.
Chemotherapy. Well, like I said from the beginning, I mean, I said the first thing, get the right doctor and you start your treatment. So that's between you and your oncologist. But I really emphasize that you have to start your treatment with your oncologist. I'm just saying, like I said last week, your oncologist is not going to talk about the things I just talked about. So let your oncologist take care of your cancer. Let him address your cancer. You now have to take care of your body, provide your body with the tools that it needs. Because even the treatment, the chemotherapy itself is going to wreak havoc on your body and on your immune system. So you need to know what to do to counter that.
That's correct. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. I wanted to comment on mammogram. You are right on the money. I see lots of people come, they have a slight cough, they want X-ray. X-ray is done with radiation. It's small radiation, but it is still radiation. CT scan is like, I think 17 or 19 times the X-ray, the radiation that is used to do X-ray. So yes, but with mammogram, standards have actually changed. We used to start mammogram in women at the 40, but because of the exposure to radiation and it's been shown that that exposure can actually cause breast cancer. So instead of starting at 40, some medical colleges, AAFP, for instance, have suggested that started at 5 instead. Some suggest 50, but the American College of Radiologists still suggest mammograms should be done. So that the medical group has not agreed how often one should do mammogram. So it's discussion between patient and doctor now to decide when, but people are looking at exposure to radiation. So you're right on the money there also. So I see Herman Irish from London, England. It's in the middle of the night right now. It's the 5 hours ahead. raised his hand. I'm going to ask you to unmute so you can ask your question. Great, you're muted. Haman, you can ask your question. Haman, you can ask your question.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. We can hear you now.
Okay, great. Thank you. Listen, fantastic discussion. I'm phoning here from London in England. So I was wondering, with regard to the PSA test, is there more definitive tests rather than the PSA blood test? And specifically, I think for men, is there a test with regard to detecting initial stages of prostate cancer?
Excellent question. Unfortunately, we don't have anything better than that, except for the rectal exam itself. We do blood tests. And, right now in the US, actually, it's been suggested that we don't do the PSA routinely like we used to, because it has led to unwarranted procedures and anxieties when we were screening routinely. So now we don't screen routinely anymore. That is really, the major test we have, the PSA, to screen for prostate cancer.
Okay, so you're not aware? Is there, like in America, is there anything along the lines of perhaps a urine test that detects cancer as such? I know in England there's been talk of that with regard to some trials, but I was wondering, you guys, they usually say that America tends to be 10 years ahead of the UK. So I'm just wondering.
What? I believe we are. I've heard of the research going on, but they still research in the research process. They haven't moved out to clinic yet. Okay,
and just my last question is there any thoughts on with regard to a stage 3 aggressive cancer with prostate? It was interesting, good listening to the doctor saying throwing everything at it, in particular the kitchen sink. And I was good to hear with regard to there's other things. It's more of a holistic sort of, if you like, attack with regard to the condition you've got. So a pincer movement coming in from various areas with regard to the counselling, your nutrition, so on and so forth. But is there any sort of drugs on the market? I've got a friend I know in England who's just been diagnosed stage 3 cancer. It's fairly earlier. He just went for his first test, and basically stage 3 cancer he actually has. It's supposed to be an aggressive type with regard to prostate. Is there any pointers you could give me? I know I've thrown quite a few bits in there, but is there any pointers you could give at all?
Yeah, Dr. Ajibade, do you want to respond to that, or do you want me to respond to that?
Yeah, it's you've got it, because there are genetic things involved as well. I would still say that person has to get again an oncologist to look at him and get that out of the way. And then any other thing, like I said, you can any other thing in addition to your medical treatments you can do, that kind of things I talked about. Dr. O, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Enjoying the show, and thank you for giving me the time to ask my questions. I will still listen in, and I will catch up on part 1 on the YouTube. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for participating.
Yeah, great show.
Thank you. Over to you, Honorable Gustav.
Thank you, Dr. Ajibade, for that in-depth presentation. It's the Medical Mondays with Dr. O. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is on YouTube, Medical Mondays with Dr. O, and you can get all the episodes where you get great medical information. Let's go to the charts. And Kamsin Wumi says, Dr. Ajibade, thanks for all you do towards research to find treatment solutions for those impacted by sickle cell disease. Now, Alicia says, I have the sickle cell trait. I have one son, age 25. Should I assume the test was done when he was born, or should we request a test prior to getting married?
Yeah, so sorry about the noise in my background. Should we request a test prior to getting married? Who's we? I have a son. Okay.
Son.
Okay. So yeah, definitely. He should, especially if the test was, if you don't know what it is, then you don't know what it is. Then you need to find out. So definitely you need to find out what's the genotype is before getting married. You only know for yourself. You don't know for your son.
Yes, and to answer the first question also, sickle cell testing might have been done, might not have been done. We don't know, because it depends on where the child was born.
Yeah.
So it is definitely necessary for your son to get tested, because if he's a carrier, if he's AS, and he happens to marry somebody who is also AS, every pregnancy they have 1 out of 4 chances that they're going to have a child that have sickle cell disease. Every pregnancy. So it is definitely important.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Dr. O. I'm the person who asked the question, and my son was born here in the US, and I believe I saw the sickle cell test being done, part of his newborn blood work,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure. So we'll follow up on that. Thank you.
Yeah, please just retest him. You don't even have to, go worry about looking for that test. Have the pediatrician, or depending on his age, his primary care doctor testing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Ajibade, can you hear me?
Yes.
A question, Dr. Ajibade, you mentioned in one of your slides, nitric oxide. Now, I'm aware of it in terms of its how it impacts the vascular system. Do you suggest testing for the level of nitric oxide, just in terms of maybe a test for basic wellness? Because those who have low nitric oxide tend to have a narrowing of the vascular system, and also can lead to inflammation at this point in time. Your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely, Doc. Dr. Bill?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I come from a background where such sophisticated testing simply aren't available. So the assumption, and it's a very, very, very safe assumption, that just like vitamin D levels are low, arginine, nitric oxide levels, they drop as you grow older, as with a lot of other things. So there was a Nobel Prize. So yes, low nitric oxide levels lead to tighter blood vessels, tighter unyielding blood vessels. Nitric oxide helps to dilate the blood vessels and lets blood flow more. So if you're hypertensive, if you have any kind of cardiovascular disease, you can be sure that your nitric oxides are low. You don't need to do a test for that. If you have sickle cell disease, your nitric oxides levels are in the toilet. So there's really, I don't really care about doing the test, quite frankly. So there's, I take it myself. They found out there was a Nobel Prize that said that the pharmacist that won the Nobel Prize says you need at least 5 grams of L-arginine, which is a nitric oxide, which is an amino acid. Need about 5 grams a day, but you can't take it alone. It has to come in a complex. And maybe Dr. O, maybe one of these days we'll talk about the cardiovascular system, because we Blacks, again, yay, we're very deficient in nitric oxide. And we found out that once you improve your nitric oxide intake, nitric oxide production, you can't just take nitric oxide. You got to put your body needs the ability to produce nitric oxide. L-arginine can help. There's also nitrates, which are found in beets, that can help as well. And there are some other plants and drugs. So I again, just to answer your question, I really don't not interested in doing blood tests when nitric oxide is concerned. Everybody needs to be taking this. So that's that. And again, Dr. O, you can disagree with me, but that's I operate in a third world country where if we had to wait for those tests to be done, people would die.
Understood.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt in this. Oh my gosh. I was going to say, even this last week.
Breaking up.
I'm still breaking up? Am I breaking up?
On and off.
Yeah, I was saying that even this last week, somebody asked me about Dr. Jennifer Jones. And I couldn't hold it anymore. You know, I was saying, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt. And there she was, raising her hand. Just, simultaneously. Dr. Jennifer Jones is on here with us. And, I kept giving people peace that she's fine. Thank God, her health has tremendously improved. You can see how beautiful she looks. And, so welcome, sis. Please go ahead.
Dr. O, it is so beautiful to see you and to be here with you on Medical Mondays today. I have missed you. I have missed our Medical Mondays family, and I have missed the brilliant wisdom nuggets of information and health information for Medical Monday. So I'm so happy to be on tonight with you and feeling great, feeling good. So just thank you. I'm sending all the love I can to you and Dr. Caprice and the entire Medical Mondays family. Dr. Ajibade, this is Jennifer, and I just wanted to speak and thank you so much for the part of your healthcare delivery that includes the value of peace and joy and sleep and vitamin D and all of the internal and external recommendations that you gave. I believe that if we could teach this, and I think you and Dr. O should put it in a book and really teach that part of health care, health prevention, it would just be so powerful. And so I just wanted to thank you for every reminder that you gave. It has been a challenging health summer for me, but I thank God that He gave me something that would cause me to pause, reassess. I committed this summer to getting my health optimal, and God blessed me with 2 very large kidney stones shifting so that He could get them out of my body so that I can proceed with optimal health. And I can tell you, only now that those stones are gone can I look back over the last 6 months of my life and really see that I was not feeling well. I thought it was just the insurrection and policy and all kinds of things, but it was also something physiological. So I thank God for Dr. O. I thank God for Medical Mondays, and I thank God for you, Dr. Ajibade, because you have been just a powerful impression on my mind, on Dr. Mike, just everyone in the Medical Mondays family. So Dr. O, that's what I wanted to say. Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be with you tonight. And Dr. O, just keep doing what you're doing. It's making a difference. Shots fired around the world. So don't stop. We can't hear you. Are you on mute?
We miss your high energy. I'm glad you're back.
Hello, is that Madam? How are you?
I am
Madam
well.
Laura.
Yes, Madam Laura.
Dr. O, we're taking her to Jamaica. Go break dancing.
Oh, I'm ready. You're not ready. We'll take her to Jamaica.
Yes, it would be awesome.
Jennifer, we miss you. I miss you. Everybody's been asking, but I keep saying she's fine. Just keep praying. She's fine. So nice to have you. So nice to have you back.
I'm happy to be here, and I just am so glad that we laid a firm foundation, and even my being gone, there's not been one stop in the beat for Medical Mondays, and that's what this is about. So Dr. O, you're just amazing. You know I love you to life, and I'm just so excited to see you looking good, feeling good, and continuing to spread the word. So many people need this conversation that I think while we're going through the holidays, I'm gonna push that Power of Prevention book. I think we can get it out, just a first one, and make it a series, and just get the intent of Medical Mondays, the intent of this prevention, the things that we can control. My surgeon just saw him today and gonna see him tomorrow. And he said, I think it is your healthy lifestyle. You drink a lot of water, you eat right, you do move your body, that probably kept you from more severe sickness and sickness sooner. And so I just thank God for you, Dr. O. You've been a mainstay in my own personal health throughout these years. And I'm just grateful that the rest of the world gets the blessing that you bring through your vessel, gift in earthen vessel. I love you all.
Love you so much. To God be the glory. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We love you. Happy to see you, Dr. Jones, and we are so excited. Let's move on to the questions. And Herman says, how can you know when there is irritation to the wall of your gut?
It hurts.
It does hurt.
It hurts.
How can you know if there's irritation? That's the answer. It hurts. And when it's evaluated, then it will be found that the irritation is in the gut. When you have pain, we evaluate. We test you and we find out. So
it may not just be pain. It may be itchiness, it may be bloating, it may be
flatulence.
Just that discomfort. Just that discomfort in the gut.
It hurts. That's pain.
Yeah.
One of the things.
Final words. It hurts.
Dr. Ajibade mentioned beets in his presentation. Just off the cuff, beets. Beets are a wonderful, wonderful entity, but I would be cautious in terms of excessive consumption, particularly in women after a certain age, because of the oxalic acid, which interferes with calcium absorption. So at that point, many women have been showing up, and or going into HRT, which I don't support at any time at this point, but sometimes the treatment is necessary, as you know, doctor, better than I. But beets are something that I would caution a woman, maybe 35 to 45, maybe at 40, maybe once a week, max, at this point.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. I see that Sister Wumi Kamsin has her hand raised. So can you unmute and ask your question, please? There you go.
Hi, thank you, Dr. O. And again, I want to commend Dr. Ajibade for his presentation. Thank you, and for all the work you're doing, not just for sickle cell, but for healthcare as a whole. I just want to implore everybody on this call to please look inwards and try to donate towards the fund that Dr. Ajibade shared. So Dr. Ajibade, I don't know if you want to post it again. I don't know if it was already posted in the chat room. But if folks can please donate, that would be great. That would really help all those sickle cell patients out there suffering and looking for ways to have a better life. I just wanted to add that in there. That's it, Dr.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That is very important. Sickle cell affects people of color, and we need to take it seriously. We really need to we need to contribute. We need to find solution, And Dr. Ajibade is at the cutting edge. He actually has found solution, and to younger folks. So the little children. So as time goes on, you know how research does. It would extrapolate to the to older sickle cell disease patients, and now even they can benefit from the medications. It's just that the younger children benefit more. So kindly donate. I posted the donation link. Thank you.
Dr. O.
Over to you, Honorable Gustav.
Yes, there's a question from Dr. Denike Basi.
Denike, yes.
Yeah, she has her hands raised. So, Dr. Denike, you can unmute and please ask your question.
All right, thank you very much. I think I had asked the question in terms of people in Africa. It's assumed that there's a lot of sun and we can get a lot of vitamin D from that. Would we also still need to take supplements, knowing that there's a lot of sunshine around? That's one. The second one, thank you so very much for the nuggets that you shared in terms of, how to cultivate good health and all the rest of it. But I did see that the last one, you skipped it, and that has to do with, I think, detoxification, and I'm just thinking in terms of, and another thing I like about, your presentation also is that you're practical, looking at things that are accessible to the generality of the people. So wouldn't this be something that, so in what way can ordinary people, what simple strategies can we use to detoxify? Thank you.
Dr. Ajibade.
That's a great question. Two questions. So let's talk about the vitamin D really briefly. From my experience, there's practically everybody that I know that has done a vitamin D test. I live in Abuja, so Abuja has a lot of sun, probably more than Lagos or anywhere else. That's where our center is. Practically everybody that has done a vitamin D test has come back with low vitamin D levels. And maybe the people I know are just the people who are in AC, and they go from AC in their house, AC in their car, to AC in their office. But the fact, and this is a very terrible misconception that I'm seeing, and even amongst the super educated, because I remember I did a presentation to the National Broadcasting Corporation in Abuja. So this is the regulating body of all the broadcasting companies in Nigeria. And one of the highest people came up to me and she said, well, aren't we, since we're Black, shouldn't we have enough vitamin D? So she was thinking about it with regards to heat. So of course, if you wear dark clothes, you're going to get more heat. Well, it has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with heat. It has everything to do with light, specifically rays from the sun, ultraviolet rays. The fact that, I mean, you can bring the sun in all its glory and bring it from outside and stick it in your house, and you can still be vitamin D deficient. Why? Because if you're wearing clothes, if you are all covered up, that will block out the sun, and therefore you will not be able to make vitamin D. If you're in a car and the windows are up, you will not be able to make vitamin D. Even if your skin is getting all burnt up, you will not be able to make vitamin D. And from what we've seen, most of our people simply cover up all the time. In fact, you go to the beach and you see our people, white people are walking around in their shorts, their swimming suits and skimpily and all that. I'm not saying it should be skimpily clad, but it's very strange to me that I see my Black people wearing almost completely clad on the beach. I think there's something about us too that we just tend not to want to expose our skins to the sun, which I don't understand. I mean, it's something built in. I've heard it from other doctors too, that there's something about us that we don't like exposing our bodies to the sun as much as white people do. Bottom line, to answer your question on vitamin D, if you are not spending at least 2 hours with 80% of your body exposed to the sun between the hours of 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., there's a really good chance that you're not getting enough vitamin D if you're a Black person, because that melanin pigment that you have is going to block out the rays of the sun. So that's been my experience. And you should be getting, as I said before, the recommended dose for vitamin D, which is about 400 to 800 international units, is just to prevent against serious disease like rickets or osteomalacia. It doesn't come anywhere close to optimizing your health. And that should be our focus. Our focus should be on optimizing health. All right, so that's about vitamin D. The other question was detoxification. There are plants, obviously, the more healthy raw fruit, vegetables that you eat. I want to focus on vegetables more than fruits because fruits come with their own challenge of sugar. But what are known as phytochemicals, plant chemicals that help to detoxify. It's hard for me to specify plants, and maybe Dr. Bill can help. But the challenge I have with telling you what plants to eat is that, first of all, plants are seasonal. Secondly, you can't eat them every single day. Or most people don't eat those particular plants that do the best job of detoxifying. Just like what we're talking about with regards to salmon and fish and all those things that have omega-3. Nobody eats those things every single day. In my opinion, if you're going to do a good job of detoxifying, it's not just once in a while. It should be part of your routine. Therefore, I hate to, it's going to sound like I'm selling, but there are supplements that have been proven to remove toxins from your body and remove toxins effectively. So they do the urine test before they take the supplement. They now do the urine test afterwards, and you see that the person is peeing out a lot of the toxins, including heavy metals and chemical toxins. We use this specifically in our treatment of autism because, as a rule, children with autism have high levels of chemical toxins and heavy metals in their system. Now, once we begin to use them, in addition to other things, they work. So, short answer to your question, there are supplements, really nutraceuticals, like zeolites, for instance, that help to extract. Zeolite is spelled Zeolites. Zeolites. It's made from volcanic ash. It was used in Chernobyl when there was the nuclear damage and nuclear exposure to the atmosphere. It's been used in several other cases, both for the atmosphere and for human beings. It helps to remove toxins from your body. So that will be my straightforward answer to your question.
Thank you very much.
Okay, great.
Doctor, I have a question.
Go ahead, ma.
Dr. Ajibade, very
Yes,
well done.
I'm
glad you're here to civilization here. Now, is there a threshold for how much vitamin D you can take? Because, and thank you for your message of you're not alone. Because my doctor said I was vitamin D deficient and I was panicking that, hey, I'm going to die, something like that. But now that
No,
you say,
you're not.
almost everybody has that deficiency. So I'm excited that we're going to get, Medical Monday information. No. So, but she prescribed 2,000 a day. And another physician that I know said, oh, it's okay, you can take up to 5,000. So I'm kind of conflicted. Is there a threshold? If I take 5,000, will that create an adverse effect or it's good?
In my opinion, 5,000 is the absolute minimum you should be taking.
Minimum, yes.
Really?
Yes, absolute minimum.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm assuming that you're over 60.
No.
Yes.
She looks young. She looks young, Dr. Ajibade.
I'm sorry, I haven't seen her. I was just assuming that she was. My apologies, ma.
Okay.
So anyway, over 40 for sure. Yeah, I mean, I would say over 40, you take at least 10,000. But Dr. O, of course, would say, Dr. O, hand over to you.
Well, I think 5,000 is minimal.
Yeah.
But in the US, we have the opportunity to test. So we keep testing to make sure that somebody does not have toxicity. And the range in the US is 30 to 100. That is normal. But I just learned that actually, from our lifestyle medicine boarded physician, Dr. Ashby, that 100 is not even ideal level-wise. And so for Dr. Ajibade, we're in Africa where they don't have adequate testing or don't have access to testing like we do here. He has been on the money, has been right that, 5,000 is the minimum, because the level that we test to here is quite low.
So if I may just add this too, they've tested what they call these Baywatch people, Baywatch lifeguards. So these are people who are on the beach or by the pool, and they are there to lifeguards. They're there to save and to watch, make sure nobody drowns. They've tested them. They make upwards of 30,000 international units a day. Upwards of 30,000. Some as high as 50,000. So the question is, if your body can make that amount, it means that that amount may not be toxic to your body. Because why would your body keep on making that? That's all I'm saying. So that, I mean, this is not to say you should start taking 50,000, but it's just to say that if you're concerned about 5,000, you should not be.
Actually,
Okay.
I used to recommend the 50,000 international units once a week.
Correct.
I used to do that years ago. But what I noticed is my patients come back 3 months later, because we check every 3 months. They come back and their level usually is not quite in that normal range yet, or it will be below normal. Replacement is not as good with that once weekly for whatever reason, the 50,000 international units once a week. So now I just do daily, usually 5,000 daily.
And if you're overweight, if you're older, again, you may need more. You may need more. Doctor, you are shekwe now.
I'm in my 30s.
That's right. Forever young. That's right.
Amen to that.
Thank you so much for that information. And Dr. Bill shares the choices. As a survivor, the inner game success is critical. You need to have a positive sense. There's a question from...
And that's regarding prostate cancer.
Yes.
And he actually also said something at the end that I missed and I found later. Dr. Bill, now I'm looking, what it is about the PSA? He said he was curious. PSA in, he was curious as to why the PSA is not definitive, why biopsy is needed to make a definitive diagnosis of prostate cancer. Is that correct?
Correct. That's correct.
Okay, so like everything else, the blood tests are screening tests. So when we screen and we find a problem, then we go to the root of it to see if that problem is indeed real, or if that blood test was, not adequate, not correct. And we use the screening test, to follow how the person progress in some instances, and in some instances to make a decision in how to treat. So for prostate cancer, the PSA is a screening test. So if it's positive, then we biopsy. We go to the prostate to see, is there cancer, or is there just enlarged prostate that caused the elevation? Because the prostate can be enlarged. After age 40, most men would have enlarged prostate. Urine would not be flowing like it should be flowing and all that, but there's no cancer. It's just enlargement. And it can still cause the PSA to be elevated without cancer being present. So that's why biopsy is definitive and not the blood test. Does that answer your question, sir?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I thank you for that.
Wonderful. So there's a Zoom user who has a hand raised. I don't know. Honorable Gustav.
Zoom user,
There's a
please,
Zoom user. Yeah,
please unmute and ask your question.
great. You're muted.
Oh, my question is, we need that eye vitamin D from the sun, but why do people get cancer? The white people get cancer of the skin from the sun. And do we need sunscreen that much then? Are we not covering our body up with sunscreen? How do we absorb the vitamin D if we are doing that?
Huh. Loaded questions. Dr. Ajibade, do you want to answer or do you want me to answer?
Well, let me just do a quick stab. I know that Black people don't have as great a risk as white people do from skin cancer as a result of excessive exposure to sunlight. Again, that's part of it is the same melanin that keeps us from getting vitamin D tends to protect us from things like skin cancer. But everything should be in moderation, obviously. So if you can't be outside in the sun between the hours of 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., yeah, vitamin D deficient. So it's not likely if you're Black like me, I am. I mean, I don't know how light you are, Ma, but it's highly unlikely that you will get sunburnt or skin cancer. I mean, when I was in Abuja treating cancer, the only people with skin cancer that came to that we treated were, can you guess? Dr. Can you guess the
albinos?
Albinos, exactly. Albinos. Yeah, those are the only people we treated for skin cancer.
Okay, so thank you. Melanin protects us. It shields us from the sun. That is why Black people don't get as much skin cancers as our Caucasian counterparts. But mind you, because of the skin cancer, we encourage Caucasians, white people, to put on sunscreen to protect them. It will surprise you that we actually recommend sunscreen for Black people also. I got burnt, sunburn in Phuket, in Thailand. I was shocked because I grew up in Nigeria, at least up to high school before I left. And I never got sunburned, but I did in Phuket, Thailand. So I came back and researched, talked to my friends also, and found out that, Black people too, we need sunscreen. Whenever I travel to, any country that has a lot of, it's African country or, it's a sunny country, I take my sunscreen with me and I use it. Besides that, I have melanin that shields me from the sun anyway. So that's why we're deficient, and that's why we need to replace vitamin D in other ways. There are foods that are rich in vitamin D. We mentioned those last week: tuna, mackerel, salmon. But how much do you have to eat? Maybe truckloads to replenish your vitamin D. So best to just take the supplements and call it a day, as well as those enriching sources.
Dr. O,
Yes.
You being in Phuket, Phuket is almost at the equator. Is that true?
Phuket.
Yes, it's at the equator, nearer the equator than Nigeria. So you are you are getting the sun at a greater intensity at that location than you would be getting it in Nigeria. So those of us who go to areas who are equatorial right there have a greater a need to protect ourselves in terms of the rays of the sun. One of my questions is, we have been destroying the atmosphere. Has that allowed those negative rays to be even more prevalent to us down here on the ground? Anyway.
I am sure that that's a problem.
Yeah.
I believe that's a problem.
Yeah.
It's a shame that our whole nation does not believe that. And there are people working on that also. I don't know if we can have solution because we have so much technology and what have you that just, I think, radiates different things into the atmosphere.
Yeah, I agree. And remember, it's the UVB rays from the sun, ultraviolet B rays are what you need to make vitamin D. But the UVA is what damages the skin and causes skin cancer. And so I agree. I mean, there's definitely a damage to the protective layer that minimizes the damaging rays from the sun from getting to us. So I'm pretty sure there's more exposure in these certainly in this decade, in the last decade, than ever before.
Absolutely.
All right, there's a question for Dr. Ajibade from Hema. It says, can you possibly restate the 4 main principles you need to fight cancer?
Yeah, sure. So the 4 basic things are what I call the 4 horsemen, which are the immune supports. 2 is free protection against oxidative stress or free radical damage. The 3rd one is reducing inflammation, and the 4th one is increasing your body's ability to produce nitric oxide. Those are the basic things for all diseases, especially chronic diseases. If you can increase your body does all those. So the question is how to improve your body's ability to do the right things, bring the immune function up, bring inflammation down, bring nitric oxide production up, bring free radical damage down. Those are the 4 main areas. Now, on top of that, I mentioned specifically for cancer. So specifically for cancer, you need inflammation, immunity, gut, improved digestive health, and the 4th one was reduce toxicity, reduce the toxic burden. And I mentioned zeolite as one of the tools that can help with that. Are you still hearing me? There's a call coming in, but I'm trying to ignore it. Okay.
We can hear you.
Okay, great. Were you able to see me too, or was
yes.
The screen went blank? Okay, all right, good.
Yes.
Okay.
Abby says one good way of increasing your immunity is adding cooked sea moss gel into your beverages daily. Another one from Abby, good talk on breast cancer. How about more insight on prostate cancer, please?
Depends on what you want to know. That's a big topic.
All right, Abby, can you please make it specific?
Abby, can you unmute, please? She zoomed in all the way from London.
I think it's been addressed. That's why I was going to try and tap in there, but I think it's been addressed. Thank you.
And that's my sister, my biological sister.
Yes, she is. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Dr. O, is she as awesome as well?
She is.
Oh, okay, all right.
Totally awesome.
All right.
Very awesome.
Yes.
Someone asked about cooking a sea moss. Did someone ask about that?
Yes.
I am suspect about cooking.
Not cooking. She said putting it in your drink, I think.
The tea.
Oh, the tea is okay, but to cook it, no, I wouldn't cook it.
And in your cereal as well.
In cereal, cold cereal.
Cold cereal is fine, absolutely fine, yes.
Okay.
The more heat we apply to herbs, sometimes we lose the value. So heat is an interesting item, yes, necessary, but to overdo tends to erase the nutrient value of the item. One of the things also I'd like to just add to Dr. Abajade's thing, there is an herb that speaks to improving the level of nitric oxide. It's called butcher's broom. Now, you'd have to make a tea out of that. And with any herb, some people believe that they could drink take the herb once and it works. No, this is over a period of time. We're not doing this, it's not something that's going to happen overnight. You've got to include this in your living, so to speak. And a cup or two a day for a period of time, done properly, has been research has shown that it does impact the level of nitric oxide in one's body.
Thank you so much for the responses, and a lot of love being shown to Dr. Jones. I heard there's a question here, but first, Abby says, thank you, Dr. O, for explaining that bit further on prostate enlargement, not necessarily cancerous. Now, Omi says, thank you.
Thank you.
Omi says, thank you, Dr. Ajibade, for your presentation. What are your thoughts on taking worm medicines as a way of eliminating toxins in the body? Is it still used in Africa?
So when I'm thinking, I know that people still routinely do worms, take worm medicine to eliminate, especially with kids. I know parents, they just want to routinely just take a worm medicine or go to ask a doctor for a prescription. When it comes to toxins, I'm speaking specifically about inorganic toxins like chemicals, heavy metals, things that, when I say inorganic, I mean non-living. If there are also other things that address, if that's a challenge, there are also natural products that can also deal with the bugs, bacteria, parasites, viruses, and other things that can help you remove them, which they're not antibiotics, they're not like drugs per se, but there are other things. Again, we use this part of our protocol for dealing with children with autism is like the first 4 to 6 weeks is to address everything, the bugs, the bacteria, the viruses, the parasites, the heavy metals, and all that, and help to push all that out. Sometimes people may need to do that kind of thing. I understand you can actually use that as a cleanse for yourself as well, especially if you feel you've had a toxic overload. But just to answer your question, when I'm talking about toxins, I'm speaking specifically about inorganic, non-living things, not worms or bacteria.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ajibade, Dr. Bill, and Dr. O for answering the questions in the chat. It's now time for our Medical Monday moment.
Fantastic. So on Medical Mondays, we give out gifts to people who bring 10 people or more to the forum. We invite them and they show up. And, we give gifts also to champions who bring 20 or more. This week, though, I'm going to ask a question. Our gift is going to be the Shea butter, excellent natural product that you've heard of. So I had to say that so that you can sit tight and make sure that you win by answering my question correctly. So what month did Dr. Jennifer Jones develop the kidney stones that put her out till now? What month was it? It was on a Medical Mondays. It was a Monday right after the show that this happened. Who knows what month it was? Come on, Medical Mondays team. Somebody's got to win this gift, otherwise I'll keep it again.
It had to be June.
Whoa, she got it. June, do you know the date? Oh my gosh. Jennifer, She's always asking of you. Auntie Lara is always asking of you. Auntie Lara, all the way from California. Wow, she got it right. It was June. Do you know the
Yay,
day?
Auntie Laura.
Hi, we miss you. You know, we miss you.
Yes, I missed you as well. I think about you every weekend at 8:30. You're supposed to be going to Bible study.
She remembered the routine. So, Dr. O.
She does. I'm not surprised you won the gift. Oh, wow. Okay, Auntie, we're going to send you the Shem Shea butter, and it is very well deserved.
Okay, yes.
So,
I probably need the tight back. You know, Dr. O gave me a massage.
And it works. He works for the back. It works, you know, just to soothe everything, to tone the skin nicely also. So we'll be sending that to you. Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
Thank you, ma.
Dr. Oh, maybe there should be two winners because I saw Herman's chart. It came in just before Madam Laura answered that June 2021.
Oh, Herman
Yes.
from London.
From London, yes.
Well, if she's closer
Oh
than...
my gosh, Herman, how did you know? Herman.
Her guess is closer than mine. Give it to her.
Okay, no. We have two winners. You both get in the gift. You both get in the gift. That's it. We have two winners. Wow. Herman, I don't know how I know. This is fantastic. Jennifer, see how much you loved?
Actually, there are three people.
You've been missed.
I think there's somebody OMI
beautiful.
also.
But Herman came before. Nice. Nice. Congratulations to our winners.
All right. Before we go, Dr. Ajibade, your final word.
Before then, Dr. Jagbe has a question. He has his hand raised. Dr. Jagbe, can you go ahead?
Well, thank you very much for the interactive exchange. Actually, I do have two comments, but because it looks like we're wrapping up. The first comment is that there is also an inherent antioxidant that most people don't talk about, and that is glutathione, which actually is very helpful in preventing cell damage and aging. And that has been found to be very good supplement to take, particularly even in people with cancer. So that's one comment. The second comment has to do with the sickle cell disease and jaw deformities. There have been scientific documentation to support that many of the children that do have sickle cell disease actually have jaw deformities. And when they have jaw deformities, it affects their, particularly upper jaws. It usually affects their nose. They usually will have nasal blockage. And the so-called, the nitric oxide that was mentioned and being discussed extensively earlier is actually also formed in the sinuses, maxillary sinuses and ethmoidal sinuses. And the nitric oxide is supposed to disinfect the air going into the lungs. So part of the complications that sickle cell disease patients that have jaw deformities may present with will be lung problems because the air going into their lungs will be going through their mouth because they are now mouth breathers. And so the air that should be going through the nose that needed to be disinfected by nitric oxide as well as nitric oxide going into the lungs to facilitate vasodilatation will be prevented because of the nasal blockage. So they do have the upper airway restriction syndrome. These are some of the things that I just wanted to point out, that as we talk about nitric oxide, it's not just the ones from the endothelial cells that is very important, but the one coming from the maxillary sinuses. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ajibade. And Dr. Ajibade. Dr. O, you have a word?
Yes. I guess we can wait till next week. I was going to put Dr. Bill Craig on the spot to discuss differences in water with us. I have it. If you wanted me to share this slide, I would, but we'll wait till next week because go ahead. Sorry, Honorable Gustav.
Thank you so much, Dr. O, and Dr. Ajibade, your final words.
Okay. Well, Dr. Ajibade, thank you so much for that information. That I did not know that about the sinuses that nitric oxide was produced there. You always give us such great information. And you're absolutely right. I agree completely with you about the glutathione as well. Very, very important. So three things I just want to say. Please, just a gentle reminder, tell your friends, tell family, sickle cell, for those of you who are Nigerians especially, or of Nigerian descent, sickle cell is that's our concern. So we all need to join hands together to address this. So really, again, thank you in advance for your contribution. Number two, remember that cancer, most of the research has been done on the past, has been done on white people. And you can't blame white people because this is, that will be, everybody has to focus on their own. So many times we may not get optimal results because the research and the tests have been done primarily on white people. It behooves us to begin to understand that this is a fact, but not to throw accusations, or not to level accusations, but also to take it upon ourselves that we have to take our health into our own hands. So I really encourage you. Again, you can go to our website. I'm beginning to see that we really need to address this with Dr. O's help and other people's help. We can put together, hopefully, a resource space that people that look like us can actually access and benefit from. So thank you again for this privilege.
Dr. Bia?
One quick point. Of course, I will assist Dr. O. Just let me know, okay, first. And I know we spoke about it last week as anecdotal, I'll say, concerning the sickle cell and the use of the thiocyanate as a item. There is research on it, and I was looking for the original article to send to Dr. O this week. I only found something which speaks to its use in calciphylaxis in terms of freeing up, allowing there to be a free flow. But there is information that a particular food does assist those who have been diagnosed with sickle cell to aid and abet, I'll say, the minimization of crises. And the food is cassava, because it has the sulfur, the thiocyanate radical. And researchers out there, you can go online, go to Global Scholar, you'll see that. Good.
Thank you. Can you put in the chat box the name of the substance you mentioned earlier also?
Sure,
please?
I'll do that right now.
Thank you. Some people have texted me asking for that.
Mm-hmm.
So before I hand over back to Honorable Gustav, just wanted to say that the products that we're giving out this week to our two winners, Haman and Auntie Lara Okunobi is Shem Naturals from one of our sisters, Denise Jackson. It is homemade, it is natural. She made it out of love. And she's presented on the forum before to let us know how it was made and what originated it. So it's a special gift. We encourage everyone to invite people to the forum. And if you invite 10 or more people, let us know and you will be rewarded. You will get a gift. So in the chat box, Denise just posted more about Shem Natural products. And if you're interested in them, a number is there that you can call to order your own. You will not be disappointed.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ajibade, for coming over and over. I remember last week we called on you. Can you come again next week? And you honored the invitation. We are so grateful for that insightful presentation and the wonderful chat we've had. Thank you to the medical experts, Dr. O, Dr. Bill, Dr. Jabwe, and all those who contributed and all the participants. We appreciate your questioning. That makes this platform very interactive and we get answers to our questions. Tonight, we discuss cancer, why Blacks have it worse, with our guest speaker, Dr. David Ajibade, who is a medical doctor and founder of a Brain and Body Foundation. We appreciate your questions and your time. Remember to share the Medical Mondays link and invite friends, family to the platform. You can email us your questions, or if you need information, the email is medicalmondays.o@gmail.com. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Medical Mondays with Dr. O. We are also on Facebook, Medical Mondays with Dr. O. Once you hit the notification bell, you will be notified for future shows, and you can join us with a click of a button. There are a lot of shows on YouTube which you can subscribe and watch. Remember, strong health, strong future. We look forward to our next conversation next Monday. Till then, good night and have a blessed week.
Thank you. Thank you.